Hi, my name is PJ McTavish and welcome back to another DCG tutorial. So as you can see, we're continuing on with long questions, and this is question B-3 from the 2015 paper. So it is a perspective question, so let's read through it. So figure B3 shows the outline plan elevation of a greenhouse base on the graphic on the right. The pictorial view of the structure is also shown. Part A. Draw the given plan and make a perspective drawing of the structure given the following. So the spectator is 4.5 meters from corner A. The picture plane is touching corner A. The horizon line is 3.25 meters above the ground line. And the door and window are in their closed positions. Okay, so for part A, the door and the windows are in the closed position. And then B, so use auxiliary vanishing points where appropriate, and note it is not necessary to include in detail. B, the door is then hinged open as shown in the pictorial view until it is parallel to the picture plane. On your perspective drawing, show the door in this position. And part C, on your perspective drawing, show the roof window when it has been opened through an angle of 70 degrees. So we'll do part A anyways in this video, and might have to split it up and do a second video for parts B and C. So let's start off. So it says draw the given plan and make a perspective drawing. So we'll draw the plan and we'll keep it obviously to the top of the page and to the left. So again, the page is in portrait, and I'm going to keep the plan right up to the top. So you might not be able to see where I'm starting off, but I'm just drawing the plan. It's there in the book beside you, so it shouldn't hold too much difficulty. So I'm going to keep it to the left of center here. Now there is a scale of 1:50. So use your calculator if you must, but the width down is 6 meters, which is given as 120 mil. Okay, so that is the plan and the spectator put in. Now before we put in the picture plane, we need to find the angle for it. So to find the angle that we're going to project everything down at to our perspective, we must join the furthest corners left and right to the spectator and bisect that angle. So this corner here and that corner there, join to the spectator and bisect that angle. Okay, so that's our angle here. So the picture plane is at point A. So they're calling this point here point A. And so the picture plane is on point A. So go perpendicular to that angle from point A, and that's our picture plane. Okay. Now, so in hindsight, this probably could have gone in landscape. So I'm going to add another page over here to the right, just so we have enough room. Okay, that should be loads of room now, hopefully. So once we put in the picture plane, we can find our vanishing points. So to get the vanishing points from the spectator, you must go with the same angles as the outside angles of our object. So in this case, just straight over to the left hand side and vertically straight up. So horizontal line from the spectator, a vertical line from the spectator. Just extend that picture plane. And that's giving you the position of or the vanishing points. Distance out for the minute, so we won't label them until we bring them down to the horizon line. Alright. So the horizon line and the ground line. So the angle that we're projecting everything at needs to be from the spectator, needs to be brought down here to the bottom right. I'm going to put in the horizon line just a small bit down from the spectator. We might end up going over everything here, but if we keep it light, it should be okay. So let's put in our horizon line. And look back to the question. Distance from the horizon line down to the ground line is given in the question. So the horizon line is 3.25 meters above it, which is 65 mil. So measure down 65 mil. And this is our ground line. Okay, I'm just going to label those. Now, your vanishing points will be on the horizon line. So if we bring down our vanishing point, same angle as that projection angle we found. Now we know where VP1 and VP2 are. Okay, so that's our VP1 and VP2 on the horizon line. Now, point A is on the picture plane, and point A then will be on the ground line here. So that's our ground line, and this central line here from A. So A is on the picture plane. We need to project A down. So normally you join the point to the spectator, or across the picture plane you bring it down. So that's A is on it. So if we bring A down same angle, this is point A down here on the ground line. Now I'm going to zoom in on the plan, just when we label a few points so you know what I'm talking about. So if we're saying that's point A, we'll say that's point A on the ground. We'll go clockwise, so we'll say this is point B, point C, point D at the back. And we'll go with points D, we'll go E back here I suppose, because D is going up to E, and E will go down to F. And that's the pitch of the roof there, it's the center, the ridge line of the roof, alright? So F to E down here, alright? So straightforward enough. What you're going to do now is you're going to have to join these points back to the spectator, where you cross the picture plane, project that down the right, the same angle, and then use your vanishing points to find it. Okay? So we have point A, and that's on the ground line, so we can join A back to VP1 and VP2. And that's going to give you the angle for the base of that greenhouse. Okay. Now we need B is going to be on the left here, D is going to be on the right, so join B back to the spectator. So that's already done for you. We're across as a picture plane, project that down. So it's crossing the picture plane here, so bring that down. And you know it's going to be on the line from A to VP1, so that has to be point B here. Point B. And do the same with point D. Where D crosses the picture plane, project that down. Or crosses the line from A to VP2, that has to be point D, so this is point D back here. Okay, last now is point C, and that can be found from the perspective because we join D back to VP1 and join B back to VP2, and that will give you where to connect to point C. Also, if you join C back to the spectator across the picture plane, it'll give you the same location, alright? Now, how do we find the corresponding A, B, C, D points that are on the straight section up here? Alright? So to do that, we need heights. So the height from A up to the top where the angle of the roof starts is 2.25 meters. Okay, which is 45 mil. So because A is on the picture plane, you can actually put in true heights on that line from A. So if we measure up 45 mil, that's going to give you the height of the vertical line there. We'll call that point A again, or A1. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in on the perspective for a second. Okay, so the height was 45mm, and because that's on the picture plane, you can put in the true length. So that's A1. Do this top rectangle same as the base one, join it back to VP1, join it over to VP2, and where your vertical lines from the back corners meet it, so this is the vertical line up for D, this is D1, this is B1, and we can put in the back corner as well just in case we need it. Okay, so that's the main structure of it there. This is our rectangle at the base, rectangle at the top. Next thing we want to put in is the pitch of the roof. So I'm going to zoom out again for a sec. So to find points E and F that are on that ridge of the roof there was an angle from B1 and from A1 to give you point F. Same thing with C and D. And that angle, if you look at the question, is 35 degrees. So if it's 35 degrees, you must put in an auxiliary vanishing point if you got an angle like that. So to do that, I'm going to go off the line here from the spectator to VP1. And what we're going to do is we're going to mark that angle from the spectator. So we're going to put our protractor on the spectator, line up the lines, and we're going to mark off 35 degrees. So 35 degrees. Now I'm just going to put this in with blue or something to that effect, just so it stands out. So if we extend out that, I'm going to put in broken just in case it ends up being over the perspective. So that's our 35 degrees. And to find a height then for our auxiliary vanishing point, you must come down perpendicular to the spectator and VP1 line. So that was straight ahead, so bring that straight down. I need to extend this out a bit more. And what that's giving you now is a height for your auxiliary vanishing point. Alright, and because it's perpendicular from your vanishing point, we're going to work off VP1. So what you're going to do is get that height. So get this new height you have to get in there. And let's see now. So yeah, we can mark it up from VP1. And then that will be our angle from A. So just put it in lightly just to see how it goes. Okay, so this is the height up for our auxiliary vanishing point. So this is your auxiliary vanishing point. So that gives you the angle, your 35 degrees from point A1. So join that up there lightly. And where that line stops is wherever point F is. So again, we must join our points back to the spectator. Where it crosses the picture plane, which you see here in yellow now. Bring that point down at the projection angle. And wherever it crosses our angle here, that is point F. Join that back to B1 to finish off the front of the roof. Alright, so that's the front of the roof. Join F back to your vanishing point 2 over here, because that's the ridge of the roof, it's straight, so it's going back here. Join D1 back up to your auxiliary vanishing point. And that's going to give you the back section of the roof here, the back point, which is point E. Okay, so that's the main structure of it put in. All we need now is the detail of the glass frame. So every 1.5 meters we had a section here. So let's put those in. Okay, so start off with the first one here. As always, join it back to the spectator. Where it crosses the picture plane, bring it down, and it'll give you the length of there, and then the top, just bring it back to the auxiliary vanishing point. So I'll do one first, and I'll fast forward for the rest of them. So this first one here, join it back to the spectator. It's crossing the picture plane here. Project that down. And where it crosses your AD line, that's the bottom of it, crosses the A1 D1 line, that's the top of it. Join that back to your auxiliary vanishing point for the angle, and that's it crossing top of the roof. Alright, so do that with the other two now. Okay, lastly now is the line for the window and the door. Alright, so the line for the window, you need to work off the structure. Okay, now it might be hard to see down here with it being light, but I'm going to put it in strong. Actually, I'll put it in strong now and then zoom in just to show you how to do the window and the door. Okay, so now the window is in this third section here. Now we need a line going across here back to VP2. So in order to do that, we need a point somewhere on our roof here so that we can join it back, just like A and E. Alright, so if you look at this point here, we could actually bring it down to the spectator, and we're across the picture plane will give you a point on this line here and join it back. Another way to do it if you didn't have those sections would be to bring it back right to the edge here, then bring it down and get your angle all the way across. Alright, so this point here on the window, join it back to the spectator. Where it crosses the picture plane, so that's this one here. Bring that down, and where it's crossing the third section here, okay, this third line here, join that back to VP2, and that would be your angle. Now the last part is going to be the door. So if we're looking, we've only drawn the plan, so we don't have the elevation, but if you look at the elevation in the question, so I might show you here. It's showing us that the door, the edges of the door are in 1.5 meters. Now you can't translate that down to your perspective, okay, because the measurements won't work because it's not on the picture plane. So what we need to do is translate it to the plan. So if we measure in 1.5 meters here and draw that point down to the picture spectator or across the picture plane, bring that down to the 3D, and it will give us the edges of the door. So 1.5 meters in here on the plan, which is 30 mil. So if we measure in 30 mil, I'll mark this in with green just so it stands out. So 30 mil, this is the right hand edge of the door. Okay. E, F, we'll go with G. Label it. Join that point back to the spectator. Where it crosses the picture plane, bring that down to your perspective. Across the picture plane here, just going to put it in with green, just so it stands out. The height of it, as you can see in the question, it's reaching to the right up to the top of the roof, so it's hitting right here. So it's hitting the top of the roof. That's your 2 points. So join the base back to VP1, already done for you. Join the top back to VP1, because it's going over here to the left, and shows you where it hits the roof the far side, and that can be drawn straight down that angle as well. So that is part A of the question done now. They asked you to draw the given plan and make a perspective drawing of the structure given the following. So this is the perspective of the structure. Just zoomed in on it so it stands up a bit better. The plan is above it then. We'll do part B and part C in the next one, so I'm going to have to leave this one here. So I hope that looks familiar again, as I said before, and it's something that you did on the day of the exam. So leave a like if that helped, and we'll see you in the next one. Okay, thank you and good luck.